Okay, gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek127 and welcome back to another video. And before we get into today's video, I do want to give a special thank you and shout out to Square Enix for hooking me up with an early access copy of Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. But for the love of God, that name is long, the hashtag is long as hell, so I am going to always refer to this game as Stranger of Paradise in my videos. My video titles will not say Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. No, and neither will my hashtag. So for anybody watching my videos, that's always going to be the header on my videos. Strangers of Paradise something something. Whether I make guides or whatever the case is on this game. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about this game, give you all my first initial impressions and stuff like that, and let you all know my experience with it. So beforehand, I'm going to talk about how much I've played Stranger of Paradise, just so y'all can see that my opinion's pretty legit. I have played the first and second network test for Stranger of Paradise. I have played every single demo that has came out, and I beat the previous demo until I had the gear I wanted for the full game. So yeah, I've been playing the hell out of this game. I'm going to say I have, between all demos and network tests and stuff like that, I probably have at least 15 to 20 hours in the game. Have I completed the game's main story? No, that's why this video is a first impressions and not a review. But I do know enough about the game to tell you what it is and whether or not I think it's worth your time. So one thing I do want to start by talking about is the whole, the impression that this game has been given since day one. Even before the game was announced, it was rumored as a Dark Souls-like Final Fantasy game. And that has been, the impression that this game's been kind of tossing around ever since, it's been out there. Now, while it does have Souls-like combat and things like that, this game, it's not a Dark Souls game. It is not Elden Ring. If you are somebody who's been playing Elden Ring and you think it's a bit too much for you, don't think this is going to be a toned down Final Fantasy version of something like that. I'm going to tell you what this game is. This game, at its core, is a dungeon crawler with Souls-like combat. And in a sense, that's pretty much all Stranger of Paradise is. Now, is it a bad game or anything? No, of course not. It's a fun and phenomenal game. It has a lot of different classes, all kinds of different build variety and stuff like that. There's a lot you can do in this game, but in a sense, this game really isn't like a Souls-like title. It's more of a dungeon crawler looter kind of game more than anything. And when I say looter, don't let your head go to Destiny and Anthem and stuff like that. I don't mean that kind of looter. I mean something more so on terms of like Diablo or Path of Exile and things like that. But it does have that Souls-like combat system, minus the whole addition of the stamina restriction and things like that. Now, if you want to get that Souls-like experience out of this game, I'm going to highly recommend playing it on hard, because if you play it on normal or even the story version of it, like I said straight up, it's going to feel like a button mashy, spell spammy dungeon crawler. To get the real challenge out of these bosses and the combat and stuff like that, I would definitely recommend putting this game on its hardest difficulty. That's where I think this game shines the most, especially since that Souls-like feel is the first impression that this game gave, and especially how it was portrayed thanks to a lot of the leaks before the game was even announced. Now, in this game there are a billion different classes, all based on the Final Fantasy universe, which I think is an awesome thing. All these classes can be easily obtained. There's nothing you have to buy extra or anything like that. You literally just level up your current class, grind through the dungeons in the game, and as you obtain skill points to put into your current class and pick up weapons throughout the game, you will be able to unlock and level up any type of class that you want. There is a system in the game called anima shards that encourages multiplayer and playing dungeons back to back with your friends. So like I said, it definitely has that looter dungeon crawler aspect to it, because there's a lot of things built in this game that encourage that style of gameplay. It's a very pretty game. I do feel like it just has this weird tone of blur that covers it. I don't know what it is. At first I thought it was originally motion blur. So I turned it off. I don't know if it's just because I'm playing the game in performance mode for the higher frame rates and the resolution on the game isn't the greatest. I don't know what that's about, but every time I play it, I just always, see this like this blurry kind of vision over the game. If any of you guys feel like that when y'all play it as well, let me know down in the comments below. The game does have a pretty cool story behind it, despite all the memes. When the game first came out about chaos and stuff like that. Now, while the game is not open world and it's just a bouncing from dungeon to dungeon kind of thing with cutscenes in between and visiting the different hub towns and stuff like that, the game does encourage a lot of exploring. There's a lot of different things inside of these dungeons and stuff like that that explain the lore and more in-depth stories about the different characters and things. So it does take some of those aspects from the Souls games where you have to wander around and figure things out on your own. They did sprinkle a little bit of that in there, but this game is just it's a lot more straightforward. Like, you're always going to know where you have to go or what you have to do, but if you take your time, explore around in some of the areas that the game gives you, it does reward you for that. And I do applaud Square Enix, for going in that direction with the game and stuff like that. But what I do want to stress out into this point, especially for people who are intimidated by Souls-like games or whatever, don't let that stray you away from this one, because not only do you have the option to adjust difficulty and stuff like that, but this is a lot more, dare I say, casual than your typical Souls game. This game's more about grinding loot, leveling up your weapons, and just building that OP build so you can go through dungeons and crush bosses with your friends. It's very easy to party up and do multiplayer in here. I'll even be explaining that part in a beginner's guide that I'm going to be launching sometime later here on the channel. And the game, honestly, guys, is a lot of fun. I'm just saying, when it comes to a lot of the, hey, this is Final Fantasy, Dark Souls, and stuff like that, I just want to tell people, when it comes to people, giving that portrayal of this game out there, just make sure you keep your expectations with that portrayal realistic. And just remember that this game is more of a dungeon crawler at heart than a Souls game Final Fantasy mock-up, if that makes sense. But anyway, guys, Stranger of Paradise, like I said, is a really fun game. There's a lot to do in it, and they even have plans for adding additional content to the game later on via a season pass. So if you're interested, I would definitely say check it out. But anyway, y'all enjoyed today's video, smash that like button. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.